gecko time. Because, I could probably use some practice drawing geckos. I haven't really done that. I'm trying to do that animal sweater Sunday thing every week as like a fun cold season thing. Look, I can make it dance. Hello, Hobbs. Got really wide little heads. I like that that gecko avatar that we saw in VR chat last night, Lachlan. I think it made an impression on me. It's so cute. Yeah, I've noticed you've really kind of stepped up your herpetology interest lately. We're not gonna completely copy this. I'm just using it as a guideline. I think I want the body to kind of curve out a little more this way. Because we're gonna be drawing a sweater. I do like legless lizards. I did not consider it because I figured most people would probably just think I was drawing a snake or an eel or a worm. Now, what I really should have done is a hagfish in a sweater. A sweater made of slime. So they took my balcony off today. I got woken up by a whole lot of noise. Because my complex, we're replacing all the balconies. So my front balcony got hacked off today. They had a sawzall and just removed the whole thing. It was very noisy. And I was very upset because I wasn't ready to wake up yet, and it was too loud to sleep through. So now, the slider in this room, it's just over nothing. Just a straight plummet down to the ground below. But the door is closed and locked, and they nailed up a board so that you know not to open it and walk out to your doom. But it's weird to look at. I mean, I knew it was gonna happen. They've been, and actually I've been upset about it because we have to pay for it. Oh, I'm on the 3rd floor. It's a 3-story building. I'm on the top floor. But yeah, this has been in the works since the beginning of the year, which sucks because we weren't asked about it. They were just like, hey, because one of the balconies on one of the other buildings is failing, and the city inspectors are like, well, you should probably just replace all of them because other ones are going to start going. They're like, yeah, we're going to start doing this, and so all the owners have to pay into the pool to get this done. Here's what everybody has to pay, and since my unit is the only double unit in the complex, we have to pay double. And I really didn't want to have to pay it because it's thousands of dollars, and I don't even really use my balconies that much, but oh well, I gotta do it. But it's actually happening now. They're replacing the front one this year, and then next year they're replacing the back ones. It sucks, but it is what it is. At least I don't have to, you know, pay everything myself. It kind of makes sense since it is like it's a condo complex, and all of us kind of, you know, pay into the pool to maintain the communal stuff. So, but yeah, I'm just not happy about having to suddenly shell out thousands of dollars for this when I'd never asked for it in the first place. I like these little cheeks they got going on. Like the little cheeks. I like that. I like how they always look like they're smiling. I actually have the eyes closer together than they should be. Easy enough fix. Yeah, like the old balconies, I think they've been here since they built these buildings, which was back in the 80s. And one of them in the building across the parking lot from mine started to fall apart and collapse while people were on it. So that was a whole thing. And so they were just gonna replace that one, but then I guess the city came out and was like, uh-oh. This is probably going to happen with all of them because they're all the same age. They were all built at the same time, so you should replace all of them at once. And now we're doing that. Which is, I guess, good because the way the old ones were constructed, it was like a flat, like vinyl kind of like surface over the balcony. So they couldn't really drain if it rained or snowed on them. They were supposed to be like slanted so that the water would drain off away from the building, but I don't know how well they did that because it seemed like it just kind of accumulated. And that created issues because if it came to where the balcony met the building, then obviously you can get like water damage and stuff. And when we had a particularly bad winter the year we bought this place, that did happen a little bit. So I know it's a factor. So hopefully with this new style that has like wooden slats for the for the floor surface of the balconies, it'll just drain and not accumulate and cause problems. But I don't know. I don't know. Balcony problems. But anyhow, one of my cats is very upset today. He was very, very terrified of what was happening. And he's been on edge all day since. I don't blame him. He doesn't understand. He's just a cat. Carpeted balcony? Is it like, because I know, like, they have, like, patio carpeting that you can buy that's, you know, like, outdoor carpet. Is it like that? Or is it just, like some kind of, like, what do they call it? They call it something. I can't remember what it's called. Some kind of carpet, like, high traffic carpet that you can use. Gerber? No. Something. I don't know. That's weird though. That's so weird. Why would you carpet a balcony? I mean, maybe if you're living in the desert and you never have to worry about moisture, but why would you carpet a balcony? Then again, okay. So, a little bit of extinct history trivia. When I was growing up, we moved in with my grandma in her townhouse in the Bay Area. And the Bay Area doesn't get like a whole lot of rain. And generally it's pretty dry. Like indoors, you're not going to have a whole lot of problems with mold and stuff unless you're just really irresponsible. So in my grandma's upstairs bathroom, she had carpet in the bathroom on the floor. The whole thing. It wasn't like tacked down carpet. I don't. A tentative thank you to Craig is a fan. Oh no, these are spammers. All right, hang on. Just give it a minute. I have a feeling these are bad news. I don't trust names like this. I got my mod tools out just in case. But yeah, my grandma had carpet in her bathroom upstairs, and it wasn't like wall-to-wall carpet where it was like tacked down and stuff. But it was like shag carpet. It was black, shaggy carpet, and it was in the bathroom, all the bathroom, in front of the tub, under the sink, around the toilet, and the shower, which were in their own kind of like separate area. And we never had mold problems with it because it was so dry that it never really got like wet long enough to create an issue. So I guess if you're in the right climate, I could understand having a carpeted balcony. But if you're in you're not in a place where it's like really dry all the time. Like there's snow and stuff up there. I don't get it. Hello, Yvonne. And Gao, I don't know why you got a mature content warning. I'm still watching these possibly suspicious followers that I got, because I'm not sure. I'm expecting the worst. Had a run-in with an unsavory person on the Fediverse today, so I'm kinda... someone decided to waltz into my mentions and kind of like... Oh no, number one bug, I'm not really suspicious about you so much, it's the other person, because it's just like a very random looking name with a bunch of numbers, and I've seen those kinds of names do things. So sorry about that, I'm not trying to cast suspicion on you, I'm just being a little wary. Yeah, I had someone, I've never interacted with this person, someone on Mastodon.online, which is not very well moderated, waltz into my mentions earlier today, before I logged on, actually. So people were already dunking on this person when I logged on. So that was kind of funny. But like, I posted a personal opinion, and I'm not a fan of Thanksgiving. For full disclosure, I am Native American, and I know the history of Thanksgiving. I know the events that the celebration was based on, and they are not pleasant. And I don't particularly care for the holiday. If people want to celebrate that day, you know, as a time for friends and family and all that, that's great. You know, you do you. I am not a fan. I don't observe that day for those reasons or for the history behind it. It's a day of mourning for Indigenous people in the Americas generally. And I expressed my feelings about that, as I am wont to do, and I do every year. And this guy comes in and is like telling me I should be thankful for still being alive because people who died of COVID can't be around to express that opinion. So yeah, he basically came in and he's like, yeah, you should be thankful that you're still around to be able to say that. And I was just like, all right, buddy. Like, well, I'm just gonna repeat what I said originally, and I'm also gonna extend it to you. and, and then he comes back later on, and he's like, I don't know what Extinct is so angry about. I should have asked him. So like, he's not even looking at my bio to check like basic information about me before, you know, popping off. and and then he's like, oh well, you know, I've been donating thousands of dollars to this random Native American charity for years, you know, what have you done or whatever. And I'm like, all right, I don't care. Hey Logan, thanks for the raid. You picked a hell of a time to show up. But yeah, so that happened today. So I'm just a little bit cautious about people on the internet that I haven't encountered before just because of that. So how did Dark Souls go today? Last I checked. Oh, thank you everybody who's following. Immortal Walnut, Odd Jom 7. Who else? Oh, thank you Odd Joms for the host as well. I appreciate that. And thank you XX Storywolf XX and Dixie Woo. Oh, Twerk to Death. That's always nice. Yeah, the last time I checked in on Lone and you were still playing the Scarface game, which is a very interesting game. I like how you get balls points when you do things. That's a mechanic I haven't really seen before. Oh, Gao, thank you. Wow. Wow. 6 months in advance. Wow. That's so much. Oh my god. Twerk to Death though. That's incredible. I saw there's a Hank Hill avatar in VR chat that does some amazing twerking, so that's what's going through my head right now. Night Crew, woo! So yeah, I was just talking about how I had someone try to basically tone police me in my own post on Mastodon for expressing my opinions about Thanksgiving, and they got dunked real hard for it. Well, I'm drawing a gecko because there's a thing on Twitter. All right, Yvonne, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening to my tale about what happened on the Fetty. If you want to dunk on him, I don't think he's deleted yet, so you could go stop by and give him one if you want. Ah, Skelly, thank you. So there's a thing on Twitter. It's like a hashtag. It's Animal Sweater Sunday, and so I've been trying to do it. I did it last week. I drew my bat in a sweater, and it was well received. And I'm trying to do it as like a regular thing. So right now I'm going to draw a gecko, roughly based on this reference photo. in a sweater. And I didn't stream on Thursday because I was having a rough mental health day, so I'm kind of trying to make up for it today. I also have commissions to do, but I wanted to change it up a little bit. Oh, lizards are weird because they, you know, they're skinny at the— oh no, hype train! Whoa, I think that's my first one. Ah, thank you. It shows the butts. It shows the ham emote for the hype train. Oh my god. Thank you for the hype train. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, I'm not too worried about if the hype train doesn't work out. It's fine. I'm just thinking about how lizards are weird because Ham Train is an actual account on Twitch. That's amazing. Like lizards, it's like their heads are big, and then their necks are skinny, and then their bodies flare out, and then they get skinny again around the pelvis, and it's weird. Ah, hype train! Oh, the butts! Level 2 complete, wow! Oh my god. Alright, so I think I've actually gotten close to 30 before when I got raided by someone. But yeah, this is more than the usual. And that's cool. I appreciate that. I mean, tonight was mostly just like a chill kind of makeup stream, but I appreciate it. I'm very thankful. I need to figure out what kind of sweater. Should it be like a seasonally appropriate sweater? Should it be like a fall sweater or a winter sweater, or should it just be something random? Yeah, redistribute those Bezos bucks. He's got enough, he can spare a few. Okay, Christmas sweater. What kind? Should it be like an ugly Christmas sweater, or should it be like a whimsical, like nice? Kinda. You know what I mean. I'm not wording very well right now, but you know what I mean. Should it be a turtleneck? I'm thinking turtleneck, and I can have like it bunched up like up here. Oh, thank you, Story Wolf. Yeah, I made this myself in Live 2D with much frustration because I had to teach myself the program as I worked on it. I have another one too that I made, but I'm not using it right now. I can switch to it actually. Hang on. Whee! Here we go. Here's the other one. Yes, Live 2D is actually pretty tricky to figure out. It's not very intuitively set up, and a lot of the tutorials don't tell you exactly everything you need to know, and you kind of have to figure it out by trial and error. Thank you. This one I just did because my trial ran out and I was editing my bat one to articulate it better, and I needed to buy a month's subscription to Live 2D in order to do it. And it cost me $20, so I was like, well, I finished in like a couple days, so I need to use up the rest of my days, so I'll just make another avatar while I have the subscription, so that's what I did. Yeah, the thing is, I kind of don't have the money to commission people to do, like, make a Live 2D avatar or do 3D modeling for me, so I try to find ways to do it myself so that I can actually, you know, access it, but not spend several $100s on stuff. I recently bought a bat model for VR chat because I finally found one that somebody made that was available for purchase, and then I taught myself how to retexture it in Unity so that it looked more like my persona so that I could use it in VR chat. And that was frustrating too because it didn't make much sense. Oh, Gao supporting the night crew. Thank you. That's the first time I've used the coffee notification, so now I know what it looks like. Okay, if it's gonna be a puffy, ugly Christmas sweater, then I'm gonna make the gecko look just a little bit annoyed. Like it's a sweater that they don't want to wear, but they have to because maybe a relative gave it to them and they're obligated. It did show up on the stream. Oh, well, if there was a message, I guess it didn't. It just did the notification. You can post the message in the chat if you want. Okay, so we're gonna have a slightly miffed looking lizard, which we've already pretty much got that down. Wearing a big, puffy, ugly Christmas sweater. Oh, thank you, Nerd Assassin, for following. Welcome. Okay, so to make these, oh wow, the hype train worked. Thank you, everybody. Yay! We did it! So the program that I used to make this avatar and the bat avatar is called Live 2D, L-I-V-E, number 2D. And basically what it is it's a way to take layered two-dimensional images, like a PSD file with layers, and manipulate it in such a way that it simulates a three-dimensional model without actually being three-dimensional. So really it's more like 2.5 dimension. As you can see, I can rotate and it looks 3D, but it's not. I drew an image in Clip Studio Paint like this with layers, and then I saved it as a PSD with all the layers arranged in the way that I wanted them, and then I basically, through clever manipulation and the use of deformers in Live 2D, I created the simulation of three-dimensionality. It's really neat. It's a really cool technology. It's just the way that the program is set up is not... It's not what I would call fun to use, but, you know, it does what you need it to do once you figure it out. I really admire people that do 3D stuff. I want to do 3D stuff. It's just I hate learning new programs. And I don't know how to use any 3D programs, so I'm gonna have to learn. I have to do the donut tutorial in Blender. I've started it, and then I got bored. So I need to go back and I need to actually sit down and do it. Okay, so let's see. Back leg. Let's mark out some hips so we have a reference point. I haven't been doing that, and things are gonna look a little weird if I don't. And that's gonna go into a knee. That's the thigh. The knee's a little foreshortened. Gonna go into the ankle like that. And that's gonna be the calf muscle. And over here, leg is mostly hidden. Gonna go like that. Oh, that's cool. I don't really go on Reddit that much, so. Oh wow, Redbubble's actually gonna. That's cool. That's cool. I'm glad that Redbubble has customer service like that instead of just being like, oh well, womp womp. That's the post office's problem. That's cool. I'm glad. So hopefully they won't lose it this time. I mean, they didn't lose the second order, but hopefully they won't lose this one. Gao had a little bit of a shipping snafu with a Redbubble order from my shop, where the first order didn't ever arrive and the shipping kind of stalled out a while ago, so. Which sucks, but I can't control that, unfortunately. I don't have any control over the manufacturing or shipping of stuff from my Redbubble. Yeah, I'm gonna. I just, you know. I got a little slammed with the person trying to shake their finger at me for not I'm not even sure what their point was, to be honest. I don't know what their whole point was about me talking about Thanksgiving. Nobody said that they had to reply to me. Nobody said that they had to get involved. They just took it upon themselves. Okay, so maybe I'm thinking now. Now I'm brainstorming. So if I do the sweater, right? I do the sweater and the sweater would end... Let's use this for the sweater layer for the sketch. So say the sweater ends like right about here, right above the hips, right? What if we have another sweater, or like not a sweater, but like a knitted tail warmer that goes on the tail, like right about here, and then like ends like up here? What if we did that, kind of like a tail sock? For the actual capture, I'm using FaceRig, which is available on Steam until they phase it out, because they're releasing a new thing called Animes, which is supposed to be more powerful, but it's subscription based. And FaceRig you can buy for a single price, and then you own it, unless you make like a whole lot of money like streaming or making YouTube videos, and then you gotta buy the professional edition. But yeah, I use FaceRig for this. And you can just use it with any webcam. You don't have to have a special setup. Another sweater. Yeah, that could be, just from this angle, that could be slightly hard to translate. We can give it a shot, but like the quote-unquote, like, I guess this would be the neck up here, and then we could do like this, but it might just look like weird pants. But we could do that. Or we could do the tail warmer and then also do socks, or like leg warmers. Butt hat. I could do a bobble, yeah. I could do that. Yeah, like 80s leg warmers, but like knitted and holiday themed. Maybe like red and white stripes or something. Oh yeah, they have 5 fingies. Their fingers are so bendy, it looks kind of like they're broken. Like, look how, like, bendy they are. Because they got those little tiny bones. Oh yeah, the crown turned out really well. I wasn't sure how it was gonna look, because it's got some transparency to it, because they kind of blended out the yellow. But it actually turned out pretty good. And then just that little tiny bit of motion with the breathing animation really kind of makes it.
Cast is free. If you like it and want to support it, please check the show notes to find out how. Thank you for listening.
Are you saying we need more fingers? But like fingers on the elbows or something? I've had lizards. They weren't like geckos or anything. I had western fence lizard, which is a type of lizard that's just native and wild to the area of California that I grew up in, and I used to catch them as a kid, and I would keep them, um, you know. And they're cool because they're actually immune to Lyme disease, and their blood has like antibodies and stuff that actually clean the ticks that prey on them of Lyme disease. That's one of the reasons why, even with all the tall grass and stuff in California, Lyme disease isn't really a big factor. Which I always wondered why they always had ticks in their ears when I would catch them. They had a bunch of little ticks living in the little opening of their ear canal, but it never seemed to bother them. And then I've also had snakes, again, like wild snakes that we would catch and keep and then release eventually. But I wish that reptiles were a little easier to keep, because I would like to have like a rubber boa or something, or a gecko, but they're difficult to keep, they're difficult to care for properly. Also, I think my cats would not like that too much, or they would just want to eat it. And I'm not gonna invite that kind of disaster. My sister-in-law's boyfriend has a bunch of snakes, like boas and pythons and stuff. I had a friend growing up who had a king snake that was blind in one eye because I guess a mouse fought back and injured its eye. But it seemed fine with it. Yeah, I like beardies. I don't know the first thing about caring for them. Schadenfreude here in the chat used to have a beardie. Yeah, beardies seem like they have a lot of personalities. I've never interacted with them in person, but I've known a few people who've had them, and they seem like they have a lot of personality for a little spiky lizard. I like animals with personality. Like, more personality than you would think for, like, an animal their size or, you know, of their type. I mean, all animals have personality, really, if you think about it. Yeah, I've heard some beardies and some other lizards can be really cuddly. Which is another thing, because a lot of people think that, oh, reptiles, cold-blooded, they don't have any emotions, you know, they don't bond with you or anything, they're just almost like machines, but I don't think that's true. This is where the little lizard fingies get kind of weird to me, and they don't look quite right. They're just so tiny. Another thing that's kind of cool is, like, salamanders and newts. Those are also things that I don't have a lot of personal experience with, but they seem pretty cool. Yeah, they're really cute looking. Like, I love the look of them. I know that they're, like, horrifically endangered in the wild. So I know that most of the ones that are in captivity are captive bred. But yeah, I've heard that they have a lot of care requirements. Captive bred. Baked in captivity. This guy's doing some kind of yoga pose with, like, the way his arms and legs are. Like, what he's doing with his back foot over here is some contortion level stuff. Lizard yoga. Yeah, most of my pet experience, other than, like I said, the lizards, the wild lizards and snakes that I caught and kept as a kid, mostly been warm-blooded vertebrates, mammals and birds. Okay. Oh. Narrowed down the face a little bit. I gotta realign it so that it matches up with the nose. Yeah, this kind of thing is one of the reasons why I like digital art a lot, is because, you know, if I was drawing on paper, which, you know, it's fine. I've done it long enough. I'd have to erase it and redraw it. I can't just, you know, do a magic lasso around the part that I want to modify and then move it into the position I want. I like skinks. I like how smooth they are. And like blue tongue skinks, they have those really big broad heads and those really flat shiny scales and the blue tongues, and oh, they're so good looking. I love them. Oh yeah, yeah, I remember Schadenfreude was telling me yesterday actually about how his old Beardy would only eat live food. Special power mix sounds like some kind of like superfood thing, like an energy bar kind of thing. Okay, so good. Approximately the pose and the body laid down. Probably use a little bit of adjustment, but we'll get to that later. Most of it's going to be obscured by the sweater anyway. I think we're gonna do like a big puffy kind of cuff, like a ribbed stretchy cuff here. Gonna have ribbing to it. It's gonna be like ridgy, kind of like that, because I like that. And then here we're gonna have the ugly sweater design, and then up here I'm gonna do a big puffy kind of cowl style turtleneck. And that's gonna basically go all the way around the head and kind of scrunch up. And like that. And then it's gonna also have the ribbing on it. And then we're gonna do sleeves, which are also gonna have big puffy cuffs at the end. You're gonna kind of pull a little bit, like messily, scrunchily around the little paws. And I don't care if they're not actually called paws because it's a lizard. I'm gonna call them paws anyway. Now we're getting that. Gonna have some wrinkles where the crease of the arm fold is. Little hams. Little climby bappies. And also, if anybody wants to, because I'm gonna try to do this as a weekly thing, at least through the cold months. If anybody wants to drop suggestions for animals, not for personas, because these aren't like custom images. These are just a kind of like a for fun exercise. You can drop those in my Discord. And I will add them to the pool because sometimes I have trouble thinking up an idea of what animal I want to draw. Oh yeah, no problem. If you ever have any questions about resources, tools, techniques, tips and tricks, feel free to ask me, either here or in my Discord. I also have Telegram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Mastodon. You can ask me wherever. I'm always willing to share. I think that one of the greatest strengths of an art community or a creative community or any kind of community is, you know, sharing what we can share. I basically love to talk shop, so if you ever want to ask, just ask. If I have the time, I will answer to the best of my ability. But yeah, if you have suggestions for animals, just name an animal and I will put it into the list, and then when it's time to draw an animal in a sweater, I'll pick one from the list. Try not to do duplicates if I can avoid it. So the more suggestions there are, the better, because it's a bigger pool to draw from. It really should. It should. But I also worry that if we do it too much, we destroy the novelty of it. We have to use it strategically. Keep it fresh. And then much like the sweaters and coats of winter, when it warms up, we gotta put it away in the storage bin in the closet until it gets cold again. And then we can have animals in Speedos or something for the warmer months. We can do animals in Speedos. Animal Speedos Sunday. Gecko in a Speedo. Well, there you go, Lachlan. You can kick off the animals and speedos Sunday trend. Yeah, swimsuit calendar of animals just chilling. All right, so little poofy pom pom at the end, I think. Like that. There. Now it's almost like a really long stocking cap that's just been slid onto the tail. Yeah, there we go. It's a Santa hat. That works. I mean, geckos aren't really cold weather animals, so they need to keep warm anyway. But they're not happy about it. They're a little annoyed. It's not their style. That's the thing. It's not their style. It's like when you have a relative you don't see that often buy you clothes or accessories for the holidays and they just have no idea what you're about. They get you something that really clashes with your style. And you're just like, oh, yeah, thanks, it's nice. And then you just put it away or give it to someone else because you're never going to wear it yourself. Who among us has that not happened to? Surely all of us have experienced that at one time or another, either for Christmas or for a birthday or some other gift-giving occasion. See, this is also a little bit of a cheating kind of thing because since I'm covering up a lot of the actual animal in sweaters and other winter accessories, that's less of the actual animal and all of this texture going on that I have to draw. So then I don't have to sort that out. Shh, we won't tell anybody, it's a secret. It's all about shortcuts. Work smarter, not harder, you know? Well, I mean, if you're drawing people, people are easy when they're nude. People don't have a lot of weird little bumpies and patterns on them usually, unless you overload them with tattoos, in which case you're just making more work for yourself. See, I have characters with tattoos, but I did something sneaky with that too. Part of the lore behind that character is that the tattoos are special. They're magic tattoos, and they only appear when their abilities are active. So just normal, the tattoos don't appear, and I don't have to draw them. I only have to draw them during certain times and certain circumstances. That's the trick. Yeah, see? Created a loophole for myself. That way I can have cool tattoos on my character, but only when I want them to be there. And I don't have to explain, like, oh, why are the tattoos not always there? It's like, oh, they only show up when it's time for them to show up. That's fine. See, now I want to do another shortcut, and because I don't feel like trying to get the face to look the same on both sides, I'll just use the symmetry ruler and it'll just look the same on both sides anyway. Now, do I want to use my normal inking brush, or do I want to use the Gen Tendon that I was using on that other commission, which is I'm still working on, by the way. I'm not done with it yet because it's a larger one. But do I want to use this one? Which is very textury. Actually, this might be better for doing the pattern on the sweater. It's very, like, fuzzy. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll use this for the detail on the sweater, and then I'll use the other one for the rest of the line work.
Don't give up.
Alright, so which side do I like more? Which side do I think is better? Kinda like this one more, it's a little small. I guess I can just draw it a little bigger. See, one of the things, before I started using Clip Studio, is I like doing symmetrical shots like this, like just a full front-on shot like this. It's just a pain in the ass to do it all by hand. It's a pain in the ass to get it to look the same on both sides. So when I was doing things analog, that was hard. And then when I started doing more digital art, what I would do is I would draw it and then basically choose which side I thought was better. I would cut that out, make a new layer, flip it around, and then connect them in the middle. And that worked, but it was tedious. Now I can just do it with a tool that just mirrors whatever I do. And so that really kind of streamlines it. And I think, I'm not sure, I think Procreate has recently added a symmetry tool. And I'm not sure if Photoshop has one or not yet. They might have recently added one, but Clip Studio has had it for a very long time. But it's very helpful, and when making the artwork for a face rig avatar, it's extremely helpful, because usually you're doing just a symmetrical front thing as your base artwork file. Any like turning and stuff you do within Live 2D and deformers and stuff. So it's really handy to have it symmetrical out the gate. It didn't go that long. Eventually, I think people got tired of the McDonald's joke, and somebody actually used Flowless's channel points to redeem the end the stream. so it ended, and then me and Claire John went to basically Fridays on Twitch. Some of the more prominent members of Wild Abandon will do like a VR chat Pizza Friday thing. So I ended up going to the one that Ollie Taylor was hosting, and Claire John came with me, and so we hung out on that map for a bit. So that was fun. A lot of people though. It was very crowded, a lot of crosstalk. We went exploring, finding weird old abandoned buildings in the middle of this forest. Lots of cool avatars, though. There's this really, really nice anthro orca with like really good like muscles. Very nice. I'm actually I'm using that picture as my cover image on Mastodon right now.
Now, let's go.
And so, as you can see, because of the magic of the symmetry ruler, both sides are the same. And it cuts down on work time. It's just a quality of life thing. I don't think if you're beginning to draw digitally, you should use this exclusively. You definitely should try your hand at trying to get things symmetrical by hand. Just to build up the muscle memory, because really all style is knowing the foundations, knowing anatomy, perspective, proportions, composition, that kind of thing. And then just building up muscle memory. So you should definitely drill those at first, and then once you feel competent with those, then you can just start using the tools to make your workflow faster and your life easier. This lizard is getting more cranky looking as I draw it. My headcanon for this lizard is they work retail, and so the holidays are not a joyous time for them. To listen to Christmas music on loop, and they have to do they have to man the customer service counter during the holidays, so they have to deal with all the layaways and the returns and the complaints. And they have to work on Black Friday. Yes, and they have to deal with people not wearing masks and people wanting to exceed store capacity during a pandemic because they have to get in there and they have to get their 30% off a new microwave, even though they already have a microwave. Don't worry, this lizard is they'll get through it. It's just a transitional point in their life. They're about to make it big on Twitch. This lizard does 3D modeling, and they're getting to the point where they're getting good enough that they can do it full time, and they won't have to work retail anymore. Yeah, we're making the face now. And a weird headcanon for the lizard. I like that they have this cute little chin going on here. Like that. I made the eyes a little more front-facing than the geckos normally are. That's just a stylistic decision. I'm not trying to make a photorealistic gecko. If I wanted to make it photorealistic, I would just use a photo and just draw a sweater on it. Although... there. Now it looks a little less weird. But yeah, I don't want to do it hyper photorealistic. I'm just doing it. Are you sick, Claire John? You said that you were having some body issues today. You come down with something? Oh, that sucks. Could it be the tomatoes? I noticed as I got older, I was less and less able to digest tomatoes. I think it might be the sugar content just kind of upsets my gut flora or something. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Like if I have like a red sauce or something, I usually suffer afterwards. It could also just be all the fiber from the beans. I'm assuming you had beans. Sometimes if I have something very fiber heavy, I just get really bad gas pains. And it's just uncomfortable. It could also just be IBS. Celiacs? Yeah, celiacs. That's a thing too. Crohn's is really nasty though, like Crohn's is degenerative, so usually you'll have more severe symptoms if you have Crohn's. Oh yeah, yeah. Bodies are a thing. Turned off the symmetry, making things harder for myself again. Okay, so we've got the basic face down now. I guess we should draw some feet. This time I'm not leaving the hands for last. Changing it up for once. Ah, yeah, cats are like that. My cats are very needy too, especially my male cat Tobias. He's a big baby. He's the one that's freaked out today because of all the noise from the balcony. The way this toe is bent back is bothering me, so I'm not gonna draw it like that because it looks painful to me. This one looks kind of painful too. It's like bent weirdly. Now, I messed up here and I just realized it. I left the symmetry on when I was drawing this. So if we go over here, it's not supposed to be like that. If I wanted to be really lazy, I could just select this and then move it up here instead of drawing in the other. Actually, I might do that just to save myself time. So I'm gonna do this. Gonna make it just a little bit smaller because it's further back. Then I'm just gonna do that, and then I won't have to draw the other one. It's cheating, but I don't care. There. See? It's fine. It's fine. I wasn't feeling as good about the sketch of this side anyway because on the reference image it's kind of... It looks like an octopus. This paw looks... It's all stretched out and contorted. So we're just gonna go with this one. And that's fine. Okay, so... Oh, music stopped. There we go. Another Connell cast.
Cast by Connell Rad. This is Connell Rad. Connell Cast is looser than most of my music. If you're after something shorter and more polished, find it at connellrad.bandcamp.com. If you're looking for a discount on a mattress, try another podcast. Thanks for listening. Let's go.
I don't know what that part about the mattress discount was. Oh, hey Yinzy. Yeah, this is my other face rig that I made so that I didn't waste my $20 1 month subscription to Live 2D. It turned out pretty good. Oh, the Casper mattress thing, yeah. I forgot about that. I haven't listened to an actual podcast in a while. Maybe I can get sponsored by MeUndies. That's another one, right? That they were all shilling for a while. I would wear underwear with Stolas on it, but I don't think they want demons on their underwear. Ronald McDonald's was showing off his undies. VR chat last night. Oh shit, you found new cursed stuff? Oh, no, you found the Ronald avatars, yeah. That's right, it was you. You unleashed that hell on us all last night. A lot of tooting in this track. Mournful tooting. I mean, anytime. Anytime you hang out with me, you're in for something. I can't guarantee what it's gonna be, but it's gonna be something. That's just how it goes. It will be, if nothing else, an experience. Like, I wasn't even online, and I had some turd float into my mentions and just decide to say things. So, you know, I don't even have to be around and it's gonna happen. Oh, the old pot grower guy from San Andreas. But I think Tommy Chong voiced in the game. It's been a while since I played San Andreas, I don't remember. My desk is creaking again, and I can't figure out why it does that. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. Oh! Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, we all noticed that you weren't there, Gao, and we're like, oh, people are like, oh, where's the dinosaur? And then we looked and you were down inside the mall by yourself, and it was like, oh my god, that's so sad. It's hard though. I tried for a bit too, and it takes some real hammering on the spacebar to get up there. Obviously, the game doesn't want you to go up there. Well, yeah, if you have mods. I had the mods, but I noticed that it was like being weird about me like adding people. Like the list wasn't refreshing as much after I installed the mods. So I uninstalled them. I don't know if that was related or not, but it seemed like it refreshed after that, so. No, because it like fixed itself after I uninstalled the mods and it started refreshing normally again. It was weird. But then again, I also realized I didn't need the extra slots for favoriting avatars once I had my custom one, or my reskinned, retextured one, usable. I was like, I don't really need it. Can you use the mods to fly? Oh, excuse me. Can you use the mods to fly if somebody is riding an avatar you're using that's rideable? Like, can you fly with other people riding you? Oh, okay. Well, see there. Then I'll just have to find somebody that's using the mod and has a rideable avatar if I wanna fly around or go somewhere inaccessible. Oh, that's how you're doing it. That makes sense. I like the fact that you can stack rideable avatars. That's great. I wasn't sure if the game was gonna let us have that kind of fun. I'm glad that it does. That that Mr. Bean avatar is probably one of the most frightening ones I've seen in VR chat. And it's not even like made to be scary, it's just enormous Mr. Bean. I'm still very disappointed that I cannot find a single Twin Peaks world in VR chat. Like, there's not a Black Lodge or anything. Like, what the heck? I mean, the Black Lodge is an iconic location, and there's not a single map of that world or that area. And like, come on, it wouldn't take much. It's just a square room with red curtains on every wall, a black and white zigzag floor, and a few chairs and a table with a weird lamp that looks like Saturn, and a Venus de Milo statue. I mean, I could probably make one if I felt like sitting down and learning how to make worlds. It seems simple enough. I'm sure Unity has those assets available somewhere already. I'm sure somebody's created it in Unity. I could just probably, you know, cobble it together. But I don't want to. Oh, next time we go on VR chat. And I might go on tonight, but I also have commissions I need to work on, so I'll probably do that instead. I don't know. I need to be responsible. I found a cool world that I'm using as my home world now, and it's basically like a really cozy like house, but it's all like decked out for Halloween, but not like in a like gaudy or ostentatious way. It's like very tasteful. It's kind of cozy. Oh, Lonkadonk, hello, welcome. Thank you for following. Yeah, I think it's made by a Japanese creator, and I don't know if it's supposed to be an apartment or a house because like if you look out the window, you're like floating in space, like the void. I don't know if it's like a house or it's an apartment or what, but it's very nice and cozy. It's got like kind of like more dim lighting, so it's like mood lighting It's not super bright. And it's cool, it's chill. And I like it. And it doesn't lag me. Some of the places I was thinking about making as my home world were nice to look at, but they were kind of laggy. So I was like, nah. It had too much like environmental effects. I was like, I want something that's relatively like low intensity just to load up in when I first start the game. I don't need anything super fancy. A corn maze would be cool, like if they don't have them already, but that would be cool. Especially since we know that you can just make absolutely huge worlds like that one that we were in that forest last night. That was absolutely enormous. Like, that one was kind of daunting how big it was. Like, you can get lost in that very easily. Yeah, that one was pretty good too. It was kind of just cut out of the game and then left floating in space. Like, we went behind the houses in the cul-de-sac and it just ends. It just ends. I like tunnel systems. Like, you know how Tokyo is supposed to have like basically an underground city underneath the city? Like subterranean tunnel city. Like, I like that kind of thing. That's cool. How much is a makeover kit with those things? Did they make them harder to get? Okay, the style kit, you can still do hair. Complete makeover kit is what you need in order to change, like, gender and stuff. But the style kit, you can do the hair and stuff. Yeah, there's two different ones. We're talking about Guild Wars 2. They're done. Yeah, the style kit, you can change hair and I think eye color and stuff. Oh, too hot and too cold. It sounds like you're sick. That happens to me when I'm sick. Like, you can't get comfortable. You can't get a comfortable temperature. Trouble regulating body heat and stuff like that. You might need to go lay down. Unless you're already laying down, in which case, I mean, I guess you just kind of gotta wait it out. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds familiar to me. That happens to me when I have a bug or something. That sucks. I don't know any, you know. I don't know any foolproof cures. It's just kind of trying to treat it as it goes and waiting it out. Okay, I think I'm gonna do the lines for the sweater now. It sounds to me, and I'm not a doctor obviously, but it sounds to me like your body's having an inflammatory response to something you ate. And you might not have food poisoning per se, but your body is acting like you are because something you ate irritated it. Yeah, something in the chili has set your body off and it's acting like you've been invaded by something. Like an intolerance. Not necessarily an allergic reaction, but like an intolerance reaction. Like, I get that way if I have too much dairy, because I'm lactose intolerant. And my body just gets like, oh no, this isn't supposed to be here. Now it's time to flip out. Yeah. I have to limit how often I have chili too, because my body gets sick of it real fast. Oh, really? You don't normally lose your appetite when you're sick? I do. That's one of the ways I know I'm sick. I just don't want to eat anything. Yeah, your body must be really mad then. You don't have like a sore throat or anything, right? Alright, so it's probably not COVID at least. Could be the flu? But it's probably just your body's mad at you for the chili. Oh, yeah. I mean, you could always do an experiment the next time you want to have chili where you, I don't know, I guess you could like break it into smaller batches and some of them have ingredients that the other batches don't, and then you can try to see through elimination which ones set you off and which ones don't. And then if you can identify the ingredient that does it, you can just not use it anymore. But that's going to be a pain in the ass. Also, I mean, omitting ingredients from chili makes it less of a chili. That's how I felt when I had the reaction to pistachios when I was pregnant, because I loved pistachios and pistachio ice cream, and then I had it and my body flipped out about it and I was like, no, I've been betrayed. This sucks. Why? Why does it have to be something I love? So the last time this happened, did you order chili or did you make it yourself? And if you ordered it, was it from the same place? Okay, so it's not a matter of where you got it from. It's just something in the chili. So it's probably the tomatoes or the beans. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, yeah, because you gotta finish it. You don't want to waste the food. It sucks when foods that we love betray us. Why do we have to be hurt by the things we love? Hey Yeensy, do you use VR chat? I don't know if I've asked this before. I might have. I don't know. You do? What's your name on there? Is it the same as on here? And if you don't want to say it publicly, then I can ask you elsewhere. Have I got a deal for you? Well, I'm gonna add you. You're gonna have to tolerate a tiny bat showing up sometimes. And I am small. I'm so small that when I was uploading my model through Unity, it was like, this avatar is very short, probably shorter than you want it to be. And I was like, fuck you. It's exactly as short as I want it to be. But then I do sometimes have trouble. No, I can't. You can't fly unless you use mods, and technically, you're not supposed to use mods. And if you're on a map and you use mods to fly and people report you for it, you can get in trouble. Like if you're on a private instance and nobody cares and you use mods, then the VR chat people aren't going to care either. But like if you're on like a public instance and you're flying around and somebody reports you, then they're probably going to be like, ah, no, you can't do that. I can't wait to see how small the tiny toy dragon is going to be. Okay, here's a question. Because I know there are rideable avatars. But can you make a very tiny avatar rideable so you can have like a regular sized avatar riding like an incredibly small avatar? That would be amazing. You should figure out how to make your avatar rideable, Claire John. Even the tiny, tiny one. Okay, one thing about this face rig is that it's better at detecting when I close my eyes gradually, so I can get some pretty good like narrow eye looks with this one. Like look at that, that's pretty good. I love my bat avatar, but this one has some different strengths. I can like glare at things. That's pretty sweet. Let me try it with the bat maybe, because I turned off auto blink and now it's actually doing blink detection, so maybe it'll work better. I'm not sure. It's because the way it's done. Because of the way I did this one and the way the eyes are configured and shaped and stuff, it's not quite as good. I can still kind of get something, but it's not at the same level. That's about as good as I can get. It's also less because the way the irises are so much bigger and stuff. It's not quite as expressive in this regard, and that's fine. It still works though. It still works. It's fine. It does what it needs to do. Oh yeah, I was inking the sweater. I forgot what I was doing for a second, sorry. What are y'all doing in Discord? Are you up to hijinks? One of the things I love about our little sojourns on VR chat is somehow we always end up back at that Blue Lick Roadhouse. As nightmarish as it is, we always end up back there for a while. It's like an eldritch liminal space. It does seep into your soul. I'm fascinated by it. I hope somebody does a cleaned up version of the modeling, so it's not so broken. You pooped in the music channel. Oh no. Now we gotta hose down the music channel because there's poop in it. Well, at least you're litter box trained, right? Yeah, yeah. Hiding in the litter box. Even little poops. There's like 3 litter boxes in that house. But I only saw 1 cat. Welcome back, Storywolf. We're talking about a very cursed house that kind of made the rounds on social media lately, and somebody made a world of it in VR chat. Yeah, we shitpost a lot on the Fetty. Some people don't like it, but that's too bad for them. Look at these little chonky gecko thighs. It's very cute. Oh yeah, no problem. Oh, there we go. Gal gotcha. That's the Discord. It's fairly quiet. It's not as quiet as it used to be. It's picked up a bit. Um, we talk about all kinds of stuff there. Yeah, I too have many Discord servers arranged in various folders. Many of them I forget that I'm in until I go checking, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in that. Oops. I haven't hit the 100 server limit yet, so I will continue adding and joining servers until I hit that limit. Oh no, you have? Yeah, then you gotta go through and figure out which ones can I say goodbye to? Which ones will I not miss? Yeah. I mean, there's a few that I wouldn't mind cutting loose, that I never go in, you know. There's a few that are just completely dead and nobody uses anymore. I just don't feel like going through and figuring out which is which. Oh yeah, there's some really toxic servers out there. And then also recently, one of the servers I'm in for Street Fight Radio, which if you are at all leftist minded, you should listen to Street Fight Radio. The boys are very cool, and their Sabo Cat logo is drawn by me. But their server, some suspicious person joined and then basically used the user list in that server to send phishing link bot messages to, so that kind of sucked. But that's one of the things that happens sometimes. I didn't click the link, and I hope nobody else did, but it was a thing that happened. Yeah, sometimes keeping an eye on the unsavory stuff is worth seeing some of the nasty stuff that people post, because then you know what they're doing and you can prepare yourself ahead of time. Alright, Skelly, I'll see ya. Thanks for hanging out, as always. I was in Anna's server for a long time. I joined before that whole thing blew up with Witches Live, and I stayed in her Discord server to keep tabs. I only ever posted in it once, and that was to ask if Witches Live was down, like many months before her dog made her racist. And yeah, I was like trying to see if she was gonna talk shit or anything. She never did. I think she had a secret channel that I wasn't privy to, but I eventually left because nothing juicy was happening there. But yes, I will do the tactical lurk if I think there's a reason to do it. Okay, so it was a whole thing, but basically she massively dropped the ball on moderating her Mastodon instance, and in the fallout of it, her excuse was she couldn't address it in a timely fashion because her dog did something to distract her, so the joke became her dog made her racist. And it's just a whole thing. I can't really explain it. You kind of had to be there, but yeah, it was a whole thing. If you can't handle administering an instance where one of your users is completely showing their ass and using slurs towards other people on a platform, don't blame it on your dog. Just don't blame it on your dog. It's not a valid excuse. Just own up to it. Own up to your mishandling of the situation. Don't blame it on your pets. Nobody's gonna buy that. It's not grade school. You can't say your dog ate your homework. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That wasn't gonna fly. I don't know why she defaulted to that, but whatever. I don't remember what it was. It was like she couldn't get any sleep and her dog was like jumping on her or something, so she wasn't rested enough in order to deal with the situation. I don't know. It was such a bullshit excuse. Everybody was like, "Yeah, okay, so your dog made you racist. We got it." It was a whole thing. She had somebody on her instance who was like claiming to be in an astral relationship with a dead Habsburg king and had astral babies and didn't like that certain people who happened to be Latin on the Fetty were posting in certain ways, and this person took great offense to it because it was offending her dead Spanish king husband or something like that, and then started dropping slurs. And people were like, yo, what the hell? Anna, deal with this. And Anna sat on it for hours and then got mad at people for quote-unquote screenshot dunking this person who was dropping slurs, when instead it was more like, hey, watch out for this person, they're just wilding out and being disgusting. And it was just a whole thing, and Anna's excuse was, my dog jumped on me and I couldn't sleep, so I couldn't deal with this. It was just... it was just ridiculous, to be honest. Yeah. Okay, so that's the thing that set it all off. But then I think Habsburger got really mad at Lolly for something, and then was accusing Lolly of being a slur. And it was just oh my god, it was just a whole thing, and it's so bonkers that it even happened. It's quite literally stranger than fiction. You can't even make this stuff up. But it was just outrageous. And trying to blame it on your dog is even more outrageous. But yeah, this person was mad because an actual instance designed for moms, parents who identify as moms with actual living, breathing human children, did not want this person who claimed to have mystical astral babies with a dead aristocrat. They wouldn't allow this person to have an account on there because this person did not have any actual physical living, breathing children. And so they basically had a tantrum about it, trying to claim that it was, discriminatory or something. And during this tantrum, they directed their anger towards someone of indigenous Latin descent, and kind of snowballed from there. And Anna didn't address it properly and tried to get mad at people for screenshot dunking this person that was dropping the slurs, and then blamed her dog, and it was just a whole thing, and it just kind of spiraled, and, it was a big mess. Well, I mean, you can't get mad at a site for not allowing you on there, for not meeting the criteria that they have for joining. Your imaginary astral babies are not the same as having actual children. You're not actually a parent. And if a site that's geared towards actual parents doesn't want you on it because you're not an actual parent, you can't sit there and flip out about it. That's just how it is. And you don't need to throw slurs at other people because of it.
Connell Cast is free. If you like it and want to support it.
Yeah, it wasn't screenshot dunking, it was just warning other people that this person is incredibly toxic and racist, and avoid them and block them because they're gross and racist. It's not a dunk, that's a PSA. But yeah, it was a thing that happened, and it feels surreal even to this day. Just remembering it just feels like it wasn't real. It feels like something somebody would write as like an outrageous scenario that would never actually happen. Like, hey, what if something wild like this happened? Imagine that. How weird would that be? But it actually happened. Sometimes the internet might have been a mistake, I think. Times like that make me wonder. Oh yeah, this didn't happen on Twitch. This was on Mastodon. And the thing is, it was on a server on Mastodon, an instance on Mastodon. It was run by Anna, and Anna, being the administrator that this person's account was on. It was her server. So she was the one that ultimately had to deal with it, and she didn't. And then she tried to blame her dog for it. So.
Connell Cast by Connell Rad.
I think people just need to stop taking themselves so seriously and stop making everything a crusade. Like, if you're not allowed in a certain group because you don't meet the criteria, accept it and move on.
You can also get other
If you're not a parent, don't try to join a site for parents and then get mad when they say no.
Thanks.
Call screening? What? For what? What? It's late. Why are you getting calls? It's midnight. I can't explain this person's motivations. I do know that Anna claimed that she allowed this person to be on her instance because she thought that the person was funny and it was like her personal pet entertainment, which was really kind of screwed up if you think about it. It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna let this person exist on my server so I can laugh at them. Like a court jester, which tells you a lot about Anna as a person, to be honest. So that's kind of the type of person we're talking about, running a site that had quite a few people on it at its height. I think Witches Live was actually fairly large at one point. So she was in charge of this. She was trusted with these people's experiences on this platform, and this is the kind of person she was. So, that's a thing. I think what it is that people that run instances aren't necessarily equipped to handle actually administering communities. Just because you have the ability to create an instance and have the infrastructure to have a lot of people on it doesn't mean that you're any good at handling situations that arise when you have a bunch of people together. And that's not to say that I'm any better at it, but I haven't had any moderation snafus like this on my instance. Just saying. My instance is very small, granted, and I do that on purpose, but I haven't had any problems with people dropping slurs or anything like that that, have come up. It's just I think some people get in over their heads and they don't want to admit it, because they don't want to admit that, oh, maybe I'm not so good at this. People don't like to turn that critical eye towards themselves. And sometimes that's what you got to do, you know? Like when I made my instance, I made it for me. I didn't. I actually intended it to be a single user instance for a long time, and then people were like, "Hey, can I be on your instance? I want a more quiet experience." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" But I just run it like an extension of my own user account, like how I would curate my own experience. If I see someone being crappy, I block them. If I see an instance that's not being run adequately, I defederate from it. You know, if somebody posts something inappropriate on an account that's on my instance, then I'm going to be like, hey, you might want to rethink this. I'm probably going to delete it unless you want to delete it. But I'm not out here to be a community leader or anything. I'm just... My thing that I've noticed is people that uh, do these kinds of things and set these kinds of things up with the goal of amassing power and influence are exactly the people you don't want to have power and influence. Anybody who really wants that kind of power and authority is probably not going to handle it well. People who step up to it because they have to are generally the people that are going to handle it better. Oh yeah, yeah. Being tapped to moderate when you don't necessarily want to is the worst. That's a lot of work to ask for somebody to do. Especially for free, because most moderation positions are not paid. Or if they are, it's very little. I have one mod on my instance, my friend Jonas, and I asked him if he wanted to, and he agreed, and I had the I told him basically, if you ever find that you are unwilling or unable to deal with the situation for any reason at all, even if you just don't feel like it, that's fine. Just let me know. I'll handle it. You are not obligated to step in or deal with anything at all. If you want to, you can. You know, I'm trusting you with that, but if you don't want to, or you can't, because, you know, you've got stuff going on or whatever, that is entirely acceptable and valid. It's not your job, you know? Just leave it to me, it's my instance. I'll take care of it. Hey Richie! What's up? It is a leopard gecko wearing a sweater and sweater accessories. We were discussing Anna's dog. Anna's dog who made her racist. Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're not paying your mods, then you can't expect them to be there all the time and handling, like, the heinous stuff that comes with it. I don't even have any mods for my Twitch. Like, maybe if I get big enough, I'll ask some people, but I just deal with it myself. I actually, like, I've watched a lot of King of the Hill. I've never drawn any King of the Hill fan art. I should do that. What would I draw him doing, though? I could draw him twerking like the VR chat model does. Anna from Witches Live. The Anna. Hank with big titties would be a whole thing. Somehow I want to believe that that already exists. I would look it up, but I have a feeling we're gonna find some very spicy King of the Hill fan art that I don't necessarily want to see. Rule 34 nonsense. That's the one, right? Rule 34. I can't remember all the different rule numbers. Yeah, Witches Live has had a journey. And not a good one. It's not a good plot arc. Yeah, okay, so that's the one. I got it right. Because there's another one too, right? The gender swap one? I don't remember what number that is. I don't keep up with this kind of stuff. Oh, okay, okay. I'm too busy drawing lizards and sweaters. I can't keep up with the different rule numbers. Yeah, I only know of 2 of the rules. I'm sure there's others, but I don't follow that kind of stuff. That's like 4chan stuff, isn't it? I never really went on 4chan. Okay, yeah, so it's 34 and 63, and then I think there's more, but I don't know what they are. They're probably problematic anyway. I mean, the 63 one can be problematic depending on how it's handled. Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Yeah, some of those, ooh, some of those are very, very problematic. Well, see, I come from an internet before those rules existed. I come from an internet before 4chan existed. I come from an internet where I know that Moot used to be on something awful and got banned, and that's why 4chan was created. I am more ancient than the rules of the internet. I mean, most people of a certain age who were exposed to internet at a certain time in their lives were on 4chan. I wasn't, because I was on something awful. If you were a goon, at the very least you would never admit to being on 4chan, because there was a little bit of a site rivalry. But I never went on 4chan. I didn't like the layout of it, and I didn't like the culture of it. But I am a goon. I have stairs in my house. I am protected. I remember Fark. I never really went on Fark that much, but I also remember like Style Project, Portal of Evil. Portal of Evil. Is Portal of Evil still around? Is Fark still around for that matter? Holy shit, Fark is still around. That's amazing. What's even on Fark nowadays? What do they post? Remember Dig? You remember Dig? Remember when everybody thought Dig was gonna be like the big thing? I just remember every site having like a dig button. Honestly, when Reddit first came around, I thought it was just a dig clone. I never really checked it out. Like, oh, it's a dig with a robot. All right. Or yeah. Honestly, I used to confuse them a lot back then. Oh, okay, so I was right. My initial assessment was right. Does anybody remember a site called the Temple of the Screaming Electron? It was a really old one. Totsi, I think it was called. I remember Zombo. Oh, okay. Yeah, Totsi, the Totsi was fucking ancient. This was a really ancient forum that started in 1989. Um, and it closed in 2009. It was a Bay Area thing, and it was mostly for storing like files and sharing files and stuff. So that's like really ancient internet stuff. I didn't realize it closed like that late. I thought it closed like around 2000 or something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm old. Um, my first like social media, I guess you could say, was LiveJournal, but I was on like forums and chat rooms and stuff before that. I never did Neopets. I had an account. I registered an account when I was in high school, but I never really played it. I thought all the designs were kind of ugly. I'm just um I'm just snooty like that. I knew you'd find something like that, Richie. I don't think it's that original of an idea, Hank, with bazongas.
This is Connell Cast by Connell Rad. Don't give up.
I never really got into like Gaia Online either. I knew a lot of people that did, but I never did. We're not middle-aged yet. I refuse. I refuse to call myself middle-aged. I didn't like Gaia because, for one, none of the like clothing or anything really like stuck out for me, and also, um, nobody wanted to pay money for art, and I didn't want to do free art. They wanted to pay in like Gaia money, and I was like, I don't want that. I want real money. Here's my PayPal, and then crickets. So I was like, all right, never mind. I'll go back to Furcadia where people actually pay me. No, they wanted to pay you in Gaia currency, like the site currency, and I was like, I can't buy like food or pay bills with that. Sorry. Like if you made an art commission thread on Gaia and you're like, "Oh, PayPal only," you would get no responses. If you made one that's like, "Oh yeah, Gaia money. Here's my prices in Gaia money," then you would actually get people interested. Because nobody wanted to pay real money unless it was to buy, what was it, those letters that you got, and they have like the temporary seasonal whatever things. I don't know. I didn't spend a lot of time on Gaia. There was a time early on Fricadia where I would accept dragon scales, which was the Fricadia in-game currency for commissions, but I stopped doing that. It wasn't worth it, and I couldn't really easily convert those back into real money when I needed real money. So I was like, nah, you need to pay me for reals. For realsies only. For realsies payments. Yeah, I remember V worked at Gaia for a while. I was on DeviantArt basically since it started, but for some reason I could never really get into the community. I don't know what it was about it. Like, I still have a DeviantArt account, and I still upload to it sometimes, but I've never been able to really find a community there somehow. I don't know why. Why did she get fired anyway? How do you get fired from Gaia? Were they just downsizing because they weren't doing as well or something? Oh, people hate. See, Fur Affinity sucks. Like, as a site, it sucks. It's run by somebody that just doesn't give a shit about Nazis being on the site, and it's just awful. But no alternatives that have popped up have ever really stuck around for long, and people eventually just go back because that's where everybody is. And it sucks because I hate it. I don't want to use Fur Affinity. Like recently, Furry Life Online gained some traction as an alternative, but then they kind of sat on their hands about dealing with right-wingers, and I don't really think it's gonna go that far. I'm sorry, Richie. Yeah, like, those sites that were ultimately geared towards younger people were very poorly moderated. And people did some really heinous stuff on there. I mean, I'm not sure if it's still that. It's probably still that way, I don't know. But yeah, I know that people just would post stuff like that to other people just to get reactions and didn't even think about the repercussions of exposing children to things. Really messed up. Oh, there were repercussions. Like, the impact on people's psyches and stuff and personalities, very real, even back then. It's just nobody seemed to consider it. Nobody seemed to care. It wasn't a matter of whether law enforcement got involved. Like, the damage is done. And now, I mean, even if you do have rules and stuff in place, it doesn't matter. Like, there's Discord servers children are in, there's Telegram chats children are in, and they're still seeing this stuff. I was on VR chat in a public world, and I heard literal children on there, and they were talking about some really crude stuff, and it's just like, This is horrible. No, I mean, in some places they did. Like, if they knew that you were of a certain age or whatever, they wouldn't allow you on the site. They'd ban you. And sites that were geared towards children sometimes did actually have moderation that would step in, but a lot of these places, they just didn't really seem to care that much. Or they were just too big to be able to watch everybody, in which case, you know, they really should have had more staff or just better, like, automated systems. But they just didn't care enough. They were making their money, so. I mean, look at that debacle a few years ago with YouTube and all those really weird videos of like Spider-Man Elsa doing like really grotesque stuff, and they were all like flagged as okay for kids, and kids were being exposed to this stuff. Yeah, that's another thing too. Back in the wild frontier days of the internet, like parents weren't really aware. They figure, oh, you know, it's a site for kids, so it's fine, right? Or they weren't technically savvy enough to investigate it themselves. Like, I have a kid. My kid is not allowed to go on YouTube unattended. Definitely not allowed to access YouTube through a browser. Because the controls for content are so poor, they may as well not exist. So YouTube is actually blocked on the computer that my kid uses entirely. They can only use YouTube either on the TV, so that we can monitor it, you know, and make sure that they're not accessing anything, you know, suspicious or gross, or through the YouTube Kids app on their tablet, which has a lot of restrictions on it now. Like, you actually can't access some stuff that would normally be family friendly because it's not appropriately flagged as being specifically for kids. But yeah, it's actually kind of frightening. And now that my kid is literate and increasing their literacy skills, I'm gonna have to look into new ways to restrict their ability to possibly access stuff that they shouldn't be accessing. I hate to have to employ something like a net nanny system, but I'm going to have to, just because I know through my experience just how much grotesque nonsense there is out there and how easy it is for kids to find. But at the same time, having basically grown up on the internet myself, I'm better equipped to be able to find that stuff and prevent access to it before it becomes an issue in the first place. I really like this like honeycomb kind of esque pattern on the underside of the leg. I think that's really cool. Like, I like how it's like these little triangular bumpies on top, and then it's like this cool X pattern on the legs. I love that. Look at that. It's so neat. I love it. I want to pet it. I bet it's nice and smooth. I've never touched a leopard gecko, but they look like they'd be really neat to touch. Yeah, it does. It looks like the little baby corns that come in stir fry. Maybe someday I'll have the opportunity to touch a leopard gecko. Well, Gao, don't eat any leopard geckos, please. Yeah, I'm probably gonna end stream soon. It's almost 1 o'clock, but I'm kind of making up for the fact I didn't stream on Thursday because to quote the Fetty, I had mental health. Essentially, I had a very, very bad day, and, basically, a week of building depression just kind of came to a head, and I needed some time to myself. But I'm fine now. Yeah, I don't stay up on my account, please. If it's gonna impact your relationship and your day-to-day life, please go to sleep. On one hand, I can understand, Claire John, your roomie being upset that their pet, you know, was jealous, essentially, that their pet was getting along better with you than them. But at the same time, like, some people just have a better affinity with certain animals than certain people, you know? Not like you were doing it maliciously. It's not like you're like, yeah, I'm gonna steal this person's pet and make it get along with me better. Alright, so my butt hurts from sitting. Like, it hurts. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, like, reptiles require a lot of specific care and resources and stuff, and kind of an ordeal. Oh yeah! Yeah, chair sales for Black Friday. I actually think my mother-in-law is gonna get me a new chair, or give me the money to buy a new chair. Because we were talking about that the last time I visited. So, one way or another, I'm probably getting a new chair for the holidays, which is good. My back will thank me. Yeah, I'm using a crappy wooden kitchen chair right now, and it's not great. It's not great. It's not very supportive, it's not very comfortable. And I've been sitting here for over 2.5 hours, because I was sitting here before I started streaming. Oh yeah, actually I have not saved yet, so I should do that. Good call. I'm living dangerously, okay? I'm playing chicken with fate right now. Well, not anymore, because I just saved. But I think I'm gonna call it here just because my butt hurts and it's getting late. I'm gonna drop us off with Spunky, who's doing art, another Wild Abandoned streamer who does very cute stuff. We've rated Spunky before. I want to thank everybody that stopped by. I want to thank Lonan for the raid. I want to thank everybody for the hype train, my first ever hype train, as far as I know. Everybody that followed, everybody that stayed and chatted with me. I'll be back on Tuesday. You can also chat in the Discord. I'll be in the Discord. I'll be on the Fediverse. I'll be on Twitter, etc., etc. Thanks for hanging out while I drew a gecko in a sweater and associated accessories. Yep. And thank you for following Storywolf. I hope to see you around again. You're always welcome here for a chat and for advice or whatever. Alright, so now we are going to go and raid Spunky. And thank you again, everybody, and I'll see you later.